Imagine walking onto a stage before the financial elite and betting $1 billion of your own money that a prominent company is a complete fraud. Destined to collapse to zero, you have hundreds of slides of mathematical proof. You are one of the most feared activist investors on Wall Street, and you have painted a giant target on a $5 billion global nutrition empire. By conventional logic, the company should be dead on arrival. But that is not what happened. What followed was one of the most vicious billionaire blood feuds in the history of modern finance. A war where being right mattered significantly less than having the right enemies. This is the story of how a titan of Wall Street tried to assassinate what he called the biggest pyramid scheme in history, and how the scheme survived. To understand how this battlefield was drawn, we go back to 1980. Mark Hughes is selling weight loss shakes out of the trunk of his car in Los Angeles, calling his new company Herbalife. Hughes wasn't simply selling protein powder, he was selling the American dream. The undeniable genius of Herbalife lay directly in its core business model. It was structured as a multi-level marketing company, or MLM. You don't merely buy the product, you buy the exclusive right to sell the product. More importantly, you buy the right to recruit other everyday people to sell the product, earning a lucrative cut of everything they sell, creating a vast downline of endless commissions. Hughes pitched it as a golden ticket out of poverty. You just needed relentless hustle to be your own boss, drive luxury cars, and achieve financial freedom. The pitch was mesmerizing. Herbalife predictably exploded, rapidly spreading across the globe like a financial wildfire. Huge conventions were held where top-earning distributors draped in designer clothes proudly paraded across the stage. Distributors were taught to fake it till they made it, projecting a flawless image of immense wealth to lure in hopeful new recruits. By the early 2000s, Herbalife was a publicly traded behemoth consistently raking in billions in annual revenue. But beneath the glittering surface, a dark reality was festering. The actual money wasn't in selling nutritional shakes to regular customers. The life-changing money was entirely found in relentlessly recruiting brand new distributors who were pressured to buy thousands of dollars of expensive inventory just to qualify for promised monthly bonuses. Garages across America were tragically filled to the ceiling with unsold canisters of shake mix. The overwhelming majority of hopeful people who signed up made absolutely nothing. The company methodically targeted vulnerable immigrant communities, opening storefront nutrition clubs that served as aggressive daily recruiting grounds. The corporate illusion was practically bulletproof. The company had highly paid corporate lawyers and an army of devoted distributors ready to defend the brand to the death. But every piece of armor has a crack, and Herbalife's fatal crack was the mathematical unsustainability of its underlying model. Enter the infamous Bill Ackman. Ackman was a legendary activist hedge fund manager known for his razor-sharp intellect and intense self-confidence. When he believed a company was fraudulent, he would take massive financial positions and publicly humiliate executive management until drastic things changed. When Ackman looked at Herbalife, he saw a massive, predatory, illegal pyramid scheme. He saw a mathematical certainty of ultimate failure disguised as a harmless nutrition company. Ackman actively decided to do something unprecedented. He shorted Herbalife stock to the astonishing tune of $1 billion. Shorting a stock means you financially bet massive amounts of capital that the specific stock price will rapidly go down. If Herbalife collapsed, Ackman would make an absolute fortune. He genuinely believed he was doing the world a favor by wiping this predatory company off the face of the earth. In December of 2012, Ackman made his grand move. He rented out a prestigious Manhattan theater and passionately delivered an exhaustive 3-hour financial presentation. He methodically walked the audience through detailed slides, dissecting every aspect of Herbalife's shady business model. He showed the impossible math required to sustain the endless recruiting chains. He dramatically played heartbreaking videos of impoverished immigrants who had lost everything blindly chasing the deceptive Herbalife dream. He called out the executive management by name, laid bare the systemic deception, and ended the presentation with a bold statement. Herbalife's target stock price was exactly zero. The market reacted violently, and Herbalife's stock price plummeted by 20% in mere days. Complete panic set in deep inside the corporate offices. Nervous government regulators were circling, and the financial media was whipped into a frenzy. Bill Ackman had dropped a financial nuclear bomb onto the market. But the brilliant Ackman underestimated one crucial, fatal, unpredictable element: his own list of personal enemies. Ackman was undeniably brilliant, but he was widely disliked across swaths of Wall Street. His aggressive arrogance had predictably earned him a long list of highly vindictive rivals. None was more powerful, or held a deeper grudge, than the legendary corporate raider Carl Icahn. Several years prior, both Ackman and Icahn had engaged in a bitter legal dispute over an unrelated real estate deal that ultimately ended with Ackman winning and Icahn feeling deeply disrespected. Icahn passionately despised Ackman with a fiery vengeance. When the opportunistic Icahn saw Ackman unexpectedly vulnerable, actively sitting directly on a massive billion-dollar short position, he instantly saw the absolute perfect opportunity for devastating revenge. Icahn didn't care about Herbalife's actual underlying business model. All he passionately cared about was causing devastating financial pain to Bill Ackman. Icahn quietly but aggressively began systematically buying up massive amounts of available Herbalife stock. Because Ackman was actively shorting the stock, every time the price went up, Ackman bled millions of dollars in real time. It was a classic short squeeze, played out publicly on a totally unprecedented billionaire level. The bitter feud erupted violently into public view in chilly January of 2013. During a routine live broadcast on CNBC, Ackman was calmly being interviewed when the enraged Icahn unexpectedly phoned in. What followed was a truly stunning, half-hour, completely unscripted shouting match between two billionaires broadcasting on live national television. Icahn aggressively called Ackman a massive crybaby and fiercely declared that he wouldn't ever invest with him if he were the last man on planet Earth. Ackman passionately fired back without hesitation, calling Icahn a massive bully and a total hypocrite. By wildly declaring open financial war, the legendary Icahn powerfully signaled to the rest of greedy Wall Street that it was highly profitable and safe to aggressively buy Herbalife. Dozens of other heavy-hitting investors quickly joined directly on Icahn's side. They aggressively piled into the rising stock, viciously squeezing Ackman's massive billion-dollar short position until his entire hedge fund was practically screaming in sheer financial agony. Despite the entertaining television drama, the truly important question remained totally unanswered. Was the massive Herbalife Corporation actually an illegal pyramid scheme? Ackman's relentless public relations campaign eventually forced the heavy hand of the United States government. In 2014, the Federal Trade Commission officially opened a legal probe entirely into Herbalife's questionable business practices. For 2 agonizing years, the meticulous FTC thoroughly investigated. In warm July of 2016, the powerful FTC finally announced its highly anticipated ruling. The final result was a genuine masterpiece of cowardly bureaucratic ambiguity. The FTC officially filed a legal complaint that completely validated almost everything Ackman had been screaming about for years. They entirely agreed that the vast majority of distributors made absolutely no money, that the aggressive recruiting model was purposefully deceptive, and that the company had consistently caused immense financial harm to innocent consumers. They ordered Herbalife to pay a massive $200 million settlement and fundamentally restructure their basic business. But the powerful FTC explicitly and carefully chose not to ever use the specific legal words pyramid scheme. They cowardly stopped exactly just short of officially delivering the ultimate death blow. Herbalife's executive management immediately spun the ambiguous ruling as a total corporate victory. The highly reactive stock market enthusiastically agreed, and Herbalife's heavily traded stock massively soared. The bitter aftermath of this spectacular financial war tragically left a devastated landscape. Bill Ackman, who had all the exact facts, all the precise math, and the undeniable moral high ground, was ultimately forced to throw in the official towel. After 5 agonizing years of fighting both the massive Herbalife machine and Carl Icahn, Ackman quietly closed his short position entirely in early 2018. His righteous moral crusade had tragically cost his hedge fund nearly $1 entire billion. Carl Icahn famously made many hundreds of millions of dollars purely off his spiteful Herbalife stock investment, successfully tormenting his greatest personal rival. Herbalife implemented the newly mandated FTC structural business changes, but continued to heavily operate globally, actively recruiting vulnerable people, and confidently selling the exact same hollow dream. We like to believe that massive corporate fraud will always be harshly punished by capitalism. But the raw reality exposed here is far more cynical. Ackman bravely spent a fortune proving beyond any doubt that the corrupt emperor had no clothes, only to discover that the financial market simply didn't care if the emperor was naked. as long as the underlying target stock price was going up. The massive tragedy of this epic story is fundamentally about the countless everyday people who tragically poured their life savings directly into a financial system, mathematically designed to actively fail them, helplessly watching sadly from the sidelines as the untouchable financial giants turned their personal suffering into an ego-driven billionaire casino game. Sometimes, the sheer gravity of pure endless money, unchecked ego, and bitter personal spite can violently bend objective reality entirely to its own will. The massive unkillable pyramid scheme miraculously didn't survive because it was innocent. It victoriously survived strictly because it was far too profitable, a highly lucrative financial battlefield for the massive warring billionaires to ever completely let it legally die.